like, holy shit. It was just movement of the spirit in a big way. Just a holy fuck. A little while later, after coming to this understanding that that was the answer, my daughter Emily brought home somebody she had met in Guatemala, a man by the name of Manuel Calel Morales, who was a Roman Catholic catechist and Quiche Mayan holy man. And his life's purpose was to exhume the dead who had been buried in mass graves during the ugly wars of the 1980s and the genocide of the Quiche people. And he had been getting lots of threats, and he was in the United States talking about the ongoing genocide and things like that. And he started showing a video of an excavation that he was participating in, and it was actually somebody was videotaping him down in a hole, a mass grave, and he's digging out a body, and in the video they're speaking Quiche. And so what's happening is they're playing a little piece of it, and then Manuel translate it into Spanish, but you have to understand Spanish is his second language, and I didn't speak any Spanish at all at that point in time, other than I took it in high school and remembered just little bits and pieces. And and then my daughter would translate it into English for me. So it was going, hearing Quiche, Spanish to English, Quiche, Spanish, English. And then they started talking about ojos, which I remember were eyes. I couldn't get it. My daughter kept saying, como, which is basically, can you say it again? I don't understand. Como, what? And finally my daughter said, I need to go get my unabridged dictionary. He's using a word that I don't understand about eyes. So she goes upstairs, brings down, and she's going through the definition, and she says, oh, it means blindfolds or shuttered eyes. And as soon as she said shuttered, I was like, oh my gosh, shuttered eyes. And earlier, Manuel had said that these people's tongues had been cut out to prove how many people they'd killed. And I hadn't put it together. Tongues silenced, eyes shuttered. And then as I'm getting that overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, here is my answer unfolding. In the video, Manuel picks up a skull of the person he's been excavating, and a clod of dirt falls from where the ear should have been. Dust, ears filled with the dust of the grave. And I was like, holy shit. It was just movement of the spirit in a big way. Just a holy fuck. And anyway, pretty profound. And now I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh, I think I need to go to Guatemala. I think that's maybe where my calling is, because God says, who do you serve? And my answer was, those whose tongues have been silenced, eyes have been shuttered, and whose ears are filled with the dust of the grave. And here it is, the Quiche people. And so I'm, once again, putting this to prayer to see if that's the right answer. And I was volunteering at the Samaritan community at the time when I went there. And one of the guys that I really admired, he was a heroin addict trying to live a righteous life, trying to get off heroin. But he was always doing the right thing. And he came in and he was very upset. And he was saying, no matter what I do, I keep complaining, but nobody will listen. And he says, and then you go to complain and they won't show you all the stuff. They keep you all bunched up so you don't have any power. And then they call you nigger and tell you to leave. And it occurred to me suddenly, as he was talking about being called bad names, he says, as I heard in my head, His tongue has been silenced. His eyes have been shuttered. His ears are filled with the dust of the grave. Because it doesn't matter what he says, it's as if he has no tongue. He's only shown so much, so he's wearing blinders or shutters. That's what blinders are. The shutters are like blinders for a horse. And his ears are filled with the dust of the grave because he's being told continuously how worthless he is. And then I'm starting to understand. Who do you serve? Jesus made it clear. Who do you serve? The least among us. Who do you serve? Those whose tongues have been silenced. Who do you serve? The people who are forced to not see the truth or shielded from the truth or lied to, not being shown the truth. Who do you serve? The people whose ears are filled with the most wretched and horrible stuff. That's who I serve. And Jesus had made it clear. I didn't have to go through this 4-year process. All I had to do was read Matthew, the end of Matthew, where it says, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, house the homeless, soothe the people that are suffering, visit the sick, visit the imprisoned. Those are all the people whose ears are filled with the dust of the grave, whose eyes are shuttered, and whose tongues have been cut out. So the reality of it, though, is how many steps away are we from being the least of these? So it ends up, who do I serve? Yes, I serve them all. And as my grandmother used to say, she pays most attention to the one who's sick until they're well, the one who's gone until they return, and the one who's broken until they are mended. And that's sort of how I deal with it, because it's not my job to go heal the whole world. A man already did that, and they nailed him to a cross. It's not my job to heal the whole world. I remember one of my Jesuit spiritual advisors, Father John Burnett. He'd gone to Africa as his first mission after being ordained. And he said Africa was still a wild place. It was just after World War II. He said he could still feel the drums in the ground. And he said that he had done just that. He was going to change the whole world, heal the whole world. And after 3 or 4 years, he found himself in exhaustion. And unfortunately, I've basically done the same thing. I found myself in exhaustion because I was trying to heal the whole world. And Father Burnett said that when he was in his hospital bed after 3 years of serving too much, giving away too much, emptying his cup till his cup was empty, he came to realize, he says, I'm not here to stand out front and lead. I'm not here to stand in the back and follow. I'm here to stand beside the people and walk with them. For me, that's probably one of the most important things I need to do, is to walk with the people, meet them where they are, understand where they are, and irregardless of how disgusting of a human being they are, I need to love them. And that's the hardest thing. I had my first church here in Virginia, Dinwiddie County, in the town of McKinney. I got a letter from a nearby pedophile facility. The letter went essentially, hi, I'm Charles. I'm in solitary confinement 23 out of 24 hours a day because all of my victims were small children, and the rest of the people here want to kill me. But I've had a spiritual change and was hoping you'd come visit me once a month so I can do my spiritual understandings. In my first response, I like to say WWJD, what would John do? Not what would Jesus do, but WWJD. My first response was, hell no. You're a freaking pedophile that rapes children. Why would I want to help you? And then, praise be to God, God kept messing with me. I kind of think of it as a raven was on my head, pecking my head, reminding me, who is the least of these? Can you think of anybody less than this? Remember, if you don't serve the least of these, you do not serve me. And so I went and met with this man, spent some time with this man. He was no perfect human being, but I think he was trying. And so I met with him, and ended up that he ended up being released. He kept in contact with me. I was actually one of his sponsors. And it was the longest time he had been out of prison in his adult life. He's passed away a couple years now, but it was the longest time he had been out of prison in his adult life. And he was drug tested and monitored and had an ankle monitor on. He was the perfect releasee for 7 or 8 years. And I have to say part of that is, I believe, is because I met him where he was. I heard who he was. And I don't know what Jesus is going to say to me, but he's going to be able to say, damn, you served the least. At least somebody that you thought was the least. And you endeavored. Therefore, I hope you'll say, I know you. I know your heart. And that's all I can say to you all is who do you serve? And if you can't come up with the least of these, you're missing the point. So, go and serve. Because Jesus makes it clear. If you serve the least, you serve me.